Hello, Ryan here, and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday. This is a weekly show which covers all of the news from the week just past. Be sure to subscribe if you like what you see, and let's get on with it. This week, Xenothreat returned to tear up Stanton, the mission features team answer our questions regarding all things missions, plus Alpha 319 enters the Evocati PTU. So before we get to it, a little update on Alpha 318 and so on. Alpha 318.2 is finally out there on the live servers. Hopefully you are all able to get in and you are all having a good time, but surprisingly, Alpha 319 almost immediately hit the PTU afterwards for the Evocati. Now I do believe that CIG said they are aiming to get 319 out for Invictus launch week, which will be around mid to late May, hence the urgency. So let us see how quickly this patch goes through the testing waves, as I'm really excited to see 319 come along, as it has some very exciting features. I will try to get to covering the leaked patch notes for this first initial 319 patch as soon as possible, but that is the latest on how the PU patches are going. Do let me know how 318.2 is going for you, as I've not really had much time to play it yet. So Star Citizen Live this week was with members of the Mission Features team talking further about all things mission related, answering our questions. Now this team specifically take features made by other teams and create missions that use them, which is why many missions that we are wanting are not yet in the persistent universe, as they are only able to create the missions using the gameplay features that have been created by other teams. So for example, once the farming mechanics come along, then this team can make missions surrounding all things farming. Anyway, to the questions. First one being, will there be more involving FPS missions that don't just require us to kill every enemy? Maybe ones involving ground vehicles like convoy assaults. Now they are wanting a lot more variety for FPS missions, and for this convoy assault suggestion, the mission features team will firstly need the AI to be able to drive ground vehicles in convoys, and also present a reason to enforce players to remain in ground vehicles rather than maybe using ships, which they have spoken about in the past, and weather being a major factor here, enforcing players to approach on foot or in a ground vehicle rather than in a ship. But with the features that they have available right now, this kind of convoy mission isn't possible, but as more and more features come online, like more weather types, then missions like this won't be faked, and they will be systemic and help to drive the mission's intentions. Now I think it is quite apparent right now how the mission team are really restricted in what they can do with the features that they have, but we have already heard of many new missions expanding in all various professions that should offer more choice and depth to pre-made missions from 319 onwards. And as more of these new mechanics and features come in, and we see the AI develop further, or at least get the servers more stable to give the behaviours that the AI are capable of more improvements, then we will start to see more and more complex missions come along. Next question, what happened to mission givers? The ones that we have need a lot of love, and many from the roadmap have disappeared. Now, they say the mission givers are now owned by the narrative team, and the narrative team are also building out narrative designers who will be able to work on the mission givers and improve them, or at least fix the issues with them. So very happy to hear this, as they are very stale right now, are the mission givers, and the majority of missions that I do from mission givers don't work correctly. So hopefully, as these narrative designers get on with their work, we can start to see the current mission givers get fixed and improved, as well as expand on new mission givers. Next question, any plans for missions suitable for larger groups or organizations? Now they say that the way that they build missions for larger groups is to create more complexity to the missions, requiring more objectives. And right now, the majority of the missions we have are very simplistic and achievable by one player. And an example that they gave is in regards to this new data heist mission that is now new for the progress tracker. A skilled player could do this kind of mission on their own, but it will put a lot of stress on that individual player, as you will need to be fighting enemies, downloading the necessary data at whatever location, which can be interrupted, while also then needing to find the codes to then put them into the servers for whatever reasons, stop the servers from overheating so that the download won't be interrupted, so on and so forth. So it really suits larger groups of players coordinating together, and they did say that this will provide a reward that is worth doing for multiple people. Of course, if you are able and capable to do it on your own, if you're skilled enough, then the payout will be massive, but the stress involved in doing that will also be massive. Now, I do like the sound of this type of approach. The mission itself does sound interesting as well, and they did mention it will be utilizing underground facilities, and I'm assuming that they're meaning the new underground facilities, not these ones that we have right now, but offering multiple elements to complete it without dying. And I do like the idea that if you're highly skilled and capable, as this is a skill-based game, then you can complete it on your own. But to ensure that it is completed as smoothly as possible, doing it as a team is more advised. So I do look forward to this new mission and hearing more about it, as with these underground facilities, I love the idea of gaining rep by running missions with a specific underground facility, which then grants you more access to deeper areas of the location, getting closer to the mission objective, and then using that player that has gone to the time and effort to build that reputation as a way of infiltrating, like leaving a door unlocked, or taking out a guard so that you have a way of getting in. That kind of planning in a mission for multiple people will be so much fun. Now, the next question is, will we see more PvP missions in the future? And they say yes, but some of the ways that they like to create these PvP missions is to have a mission flow that allows players to engage in PvP if they just so wish. So giving the option to the player, rather than creating it as a specific PvP mission that you must fight. Now, these new mining resource missions are open for PvP if the player chooses to. They don't tell you to kill anyone, a bit like Jumptown, he says. Nobody's saying you should go and kill anyone there. It is the player's choice to do so. So I guess it's more like they create missions that pull players together, so crossing paths, and it is the choice of the players to decide whether they want to engage or not. Now, personally, I do like that missions bring players together, and they leave it up to the player to decide what to do, be that help, hinder, kill, or just simply ignore the other player and crack on, as this is more akin to how the verse is going to work in the long term, leaving the potential of danger always open. You never know who you're going to come across, but varied based on where you are, what you're doing, what security elements are around the area, and what system you're in. Next question is, with the new ship components being physicalized, or some of them being physicalized in 3.19, being able to remove them using tractor beams, are there any plans for rare ship components to be loot rewards for missions? Now, they say not necessarily. They don't tend to offer these items as mission completion rewards, and for these upcoming salvaging missions, for example, the wrecks, loadouts, and items found on board are your reward, rather than a specific single item. Now, they're not opposed to rare loot items as rewards, but currently that is just not the way they do it. Also, for 3.19 onwards, I believe, the cargo holds of shipwrecks specifically spawned in by CIG for salvaging contracts will populate the cargo holds with assortments of cargo, which could offer more value than just scraping the hull. So as a player, you will need to make the decision of whether you want to explore the wreck or just scrape it and then move on to the next one, or potentially gather everything. Or maybe you just want to grab the cargo, grab the weapons, and get out of there. So something that I do love about the way Star Citizen's Persistent Universe works is they offer a lot of choice in many areas, be that how you approach a mission, what you do during the mission, how you complete that mission, or the best technique for doing what you're trying to do. There is not often a perfect one way to do everything, but oftentimes multiple choices. And when you come across a wreck, do you want to spend time going inside and exploring? Do you want to just take the weapons? The choice is yours, based on so many factors that you determine. Now, the next question is, will missions eventually move away from using the Mobiglass app and more to physical mission givers? Now, they say that the Mobiglass mission app method is not going away, that is still going to be where the vast majority of missions are offered, but they do also want to make some missions more personal, with potentially a generic NPC just wandering up to you or calling you over to offer you a small mission here and there, like go gather these items and I will pay you this much, or I will give you this item, so making it a lot more organic. Now, this is really nice to hear, as I think when we start seeing more of these settlements, these towns, villages, even cities and small homesteads coming along, NPCs living in these areas could offer small missions if you are around, and I really hope that they can tie it somewhat into the economy, where if an NPC is wanting to build a house, for example, or maybe start a farm, they would ask you for building materials or seeds, and then the player can go and find them however they want to, be that salvaging the resources and refining them and then bringing them back, or just buying them already done, or stealing them. But also, I think the idea is that they will have many options for when it comes to missions, and the Mobiglass app will one day be converted to building blocks. There will be missions from hero NPC mission givers, generic mission givers, even using the TDD or the Trade and Development Division kiosks to offer and accept missions, as well as service beacons. But what I like doing myself is making work off of my own back, reacting to what is going on in game and what I come across thanks to persistence. The options of making your way in the PU has grown exponentially in 3.18, and with 3.19 even more so, as just scavenging items, components, weapons and cargo will open up the potential for even more. So going forwards from 3.19, I reckon it is going to be a bit of a content and mission explosion. Next question, all the mission givers are criminals. What are the plans for non-criminal mission givers? Now, there are plans for many more mission givers, some of which are not shady, and I guess now the narrative team are cracking on with them, they will hopefully start to come along more consistently. The next question being, do we have a way when missions fail due to bugs to redo the mission without getting a negative rep hit? Now, specifically for reputation, they do and have selectively removed the negative hit on failure, but this isn't a fix for it, and they need to figure out what the bug is to fix that, rather than having a temporary solution, because these temporary workarounds can actually bury bugs and make them harder to find, which I do certainly agree with. Next question, are there any missions planned for refueling for Starfarer owners? And they say this is more requiring work from the AI team to further develop the abilities of the AI to refuel and request a refuel, but also they need the updated service beacons, which are now getting attention and being updated by the Systemic Services and Tools team, so hopefully once they have been improved, we should be seeing a bit of a flurry of service beacon options, which I know they said refueling requests is one that they would like. Next question, any plans for larger cargo hauling missions? And I will say they are looking at these now, it was mentioned a little while back, but they want a full mission flow that makes you feel like an actual delivery person. First, they need to get these cargo elevators so that we can load our own ships or pay others to do so for us, and then we will see these missions evolve. Now, as I say, it was mentioned recently that big box missions and multi-box missions are getting worked on, so here's hoping that with these freight elevators in the works, which I think have work going up until September according to the progress tracker, we won't be waiting too long for cargo gameplay to evolve even more. And then the final question is, now that your team is handling reputation, what are your plans to expand this system? And they say, firstly, they want to have reputation-based hostility. So you are basically able to gain reputation with gangs like the Nine Tails, maybe giving you access to their locations, having them protect you and so on. But at the same time, this should come at a cost. They need to be able to have rep influenced with every member of a particular gang and their allies and axes, which should make the universe feel a lot more alive and influenced by your own actions. Now, for the second half of Star Citizen Live, it was a bit of a chilled out chat with the technical director of UI Technology, David Gill, learning more about him and who he is. And if you would like to learn more about this developer, I highly recommend watching it. But that was Star Citizen Live, some great information about missions upcoming, but let us move on. So also this week, the roadmap update came out this Wednesday, and to see all of the new additions and changes, do check out my roadmap video linked below. Plus, Xenothreat return, which is always a blast, although I do hear that it's not that great when the servers are about to explode, so I do hope that if you are able to get on, you are having fun. So that brings us to the end of the show. If you do enjoy my content, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. Also, I am able to do this thanks to my very generous patrons and channel members. If you appreciate what I do and would like to help make it even better from as little as $1 a month, all of the links are provided below.